Secretary, thank you for making time. I know you're very busy. Your department is at the center of many things happening in the country. But if we can identify what are the realistic expectations, maybe for this year, maybe for next year, what are some of the low-hanging fruits that you think can actually happen in the area of DICT is concerned?
Well, as you indeed said, the DICT's mandate is quite broad.
Right.
And it involves many aspects of digitalization. So what our primary thrust in the short to medium term is connectivity.
Right.
Because we cannot deliver online education, we cannot deliver e-commerce, we cannot deliver digital payments if nobody is connected.
Right.
So we need to prioritize those connectivity. And there are a lot of gaps that were identified in the past, which can actually be addressed quite soon.
Okay.
For instance, we've discovered that there are many areas that already have the equipment, the access points, the routers in place, okay, but they do not have the access. They do not have the connectivity.
Okay.
The middle mile, so to speak.
The middle mile, okay.
Yes, where you connect the backbone, okay, to the last mile.
I see.
So that middle mile is missing.
Okay.
Some of them are missing because in the past when it was bidded out in segments. One contractor is handling the one on site, right, another contractor is handling the middle mile, right, and another contractor is handling the back haul.
Right.
So there's a failure of bidding on the middle mile, then you don't get to light up, right, the rest of it. In other instances, we discovered that the subscription for the connectivity ended December 2021.
Subscription for
the connectivity.
I see, okay.
So DICT entered into subscription agreements with, let's say, the commercial telcos, okay, to provide the connectivity to the remote areas like, okay, a municipality or, right, a barangay.
Right.
So it's lighted and we provide that connectivity, but they expired December 31.
Oh my.
Of 2021.
Okay.
And there was no effort to renew that, perhaps because of the elections, and so all of those sites suddenly got cut off.
Okay.
So there were several thousand sites,
oh my,
that got cut off after December 2021. So what we need to do is we need to reactivate that quickly.
Okay. And is that something that can be done within the year, or
yes,
by next year, or what's the timetable?
Yeah. So since the equipment's already there, there's no deployment issue.
Okay.
The issue now really is just to bring out a bid, okay, for activating the connection.
Right.
So whoever can give us the best bang for the buck, so, right, to speak, on the connectivity, then we can award it. So it's still August, so September, October, we still have 4 months to go.
I see.
So I think that should be one of the low-hanging fruits.
I see.
Several thousand of them can be lighted up, so, right, to speak.
So is the change going to be more evident in rural areas, urban areas, or both? Or?
All, because
everywhere.
This is through the free Wi-Fi project,
okay,
and through the National Broadband Plan of the government.
Okay.
So it's long overdue. I mean, if it expired December, that should have been
done already. Right.
We came on board in July 1, June 30, July 1. So we're just here for barely 2 months.
Right.
Barely 2 months, and the gap of 6 months to 7 months, where those areas were not connected at all, right, is very disconcerting.
So for the ordinary consumer, what can they expect in terms of quality and speed? Is it too soon to say that you will experience a notable improvement? I was looking at some data that between 2014 and 2019, I believe, there was a great improvement, 1,000% plus in yes, speed, but we were still far behind, but not as much as before. So are we expecting that kind of trajectory to continue or faster?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Actually, the numbers you were saying is 2019 and
Yes.
2022.
Yes.
So within that 3 year span, and that was during the pandemic,
Right.
our internet speed actually jumped from 19 Mbps
Okay.
to 89 Mbps.
Wow.
So that's a fourfold
Right.
increase. That's for the broadband connectivity on land base.
Right. And relative to global averages, how do we compare? Are we nearer the average? Have we met the average? Or
We've gone up several notches.
okay, that's very encouraging.
Yes. I'm not happy yet.
Okay.
I'm not happy yet, and I'm not.
I think
satisfied.
consumers are glad that you're not happy.
Yes. And we aim to improve it further.
Okay.
And so we actually rolled out several programs. One is the Common Tower project,
Yes.
so that the telcos can save a lot in terms of capital expenditure in building their individual towers in order to connect the cell sites. So now with the Common Tower, they just lease the towers. So each tower can now host several telcos instead of one tower per telco. No?
Right.
So I think that should speed up our deployment of better connectivity, more reliable, and more economical.
Right. And correct my figures if I'm wrong. I heard something to the ballpark of 50,000 towers. Is that the accurate number that we still need to build in addition to the 20,000 or so that were built by each of those telco providers?
There are varying numbers,
Okay.
Depending on what technology they're deploying.
I see.
Because, for instance, when you go to 5G, you
Okay.
need more towers because the frequency requires that your towers be closer to each other.
I see.
4G, you can have towers further apart. 3G, even farther apart.
Okay.
So as we go higher, the density of the towers in a certain area has to increase.
Right.
So that's the challenge now, and
But I was hearing something that even compared to Vietnam has fewer consumers, but far more towers. Is that still the case? So have we closed the gap? Have we surpassed Vietnam at least?
not yet, but
Not yet.
we are working on that.
Okay.
So with this common tower policy, I think we should be up to par or even exceed them pretty
Okay.
soon.
Okay. And of course, that's the terrestrial infrastructure.
Yes.
There's the satellite.
fixed line. They call it the fixed line terrestrial. Yes.
Okay. I'm not an expert, but I hear a satellite overlay.
Yes.
Of course, to complement that. And I think I heard you say something about your talks with Tesla's Starlink system.
Yes.
Mr. Elon Musk's Starlink system.
Yes.
But that was when you were, I think, named for DICT. Has there been any developments now that you've started work actually?
Definitely. We've had several conversations already with Starlink officials.
Okay.
And we're very happy to help them set up in the country. They are very encouraged because of our foreign direct investment laws have actually been liberalized.
Okay.
And so they've been incentivized to bring in their business here. In fact, that's one of the reasons why they decided to set up Starlink in the Philippines as the first country in Asia
Wow.
to avail of that service, because they saw the liberal investment
It
climate.
was easier to do it here.
Yes.
I see.
So that's the one, and a lot of other companies are just behind them, waiting and seeing, observing, see how do these new investment
How we deal
laws,
with Starlink
yes,
and see what.
yes, and how these investment laws are going to play.
I see.
In that. So I think that, and of course, we would be having a mission soon to the United States to explain to them what are the liberalization that for investments that the Philippines has, and invite them to come over and do more investments. In fact, this morning I just had a meeting with Ambassador Carlson,
Okay.
the brand
US,
new,
yes.
the brand new ambassador from the United States, and she was very, very optimistic about the increased opportunities for foreign direct investment of U.S. companies in the country. And she actually really looks forward to even more trade and more economic activity between the two countries.
Interesting. I'd like to follow up on that, but maybe sticking with Starlink for a minute. As I understand it, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, the benefits will be more apparent in remote areas. Is that correct? Because of the technology, not so much in urban centers, because I guess of the buildings and whatnot. Is that the correct way to understand it? And so if that is the case, how soon will we see the promise of fast internet through Starlink and whatnot, the other countries that you're working? How soon can we see this happening? Are we looking at a 12-month horizon, three-year horizon, or what's the realistic expectation?
Less than 12 months.
Less than 12 months.
Less than 12 months.
Fantastic.
And that's correct. Your observation is absolutely correct. Satellite technology is not for everyone.
Okay.
And it's precisely a technology that's appropriate for areas that do not have fiber optic connectivity.
Right.
So in most of the urban areas, we have fiber optics laid out.
Okay.
And fiber optic technology is still the best technology in terms of broadband, bringing broadband to your homes or to your businesses, because of its almost unlimited capacity in terms of speed, in terms of latency, in terms of economies of scale.
Right.
However, we have 7,100 islands.
Right.
And many of those islands, fiber optic technology won't be feasible.
Okay.
At least not
or even
economically.
affordable.
Yes, not economically feasible. There are very small and sparsely populated islands, and laying out those cables, submarine cables, fiber optic, the cost is just too much for the income that they're going to generate from those small communities. So those, in the past, we have to use satellite technology. And there are many forms of satellite technology. The older one that has been very well established is the VSAT or technology, which is also a satellite technology using geostationary orbit satellites.
Right.
Geostationary orbits are very, very high up there. And so you have bigger dishes.
Okay.
Now, the Elon Musk satellites are the low Earth orbit satellites.
Right.
So they're lower, they're closer to Earth, and the dishes are much smaller.
Okay.
But because of this difference, you only need very few satellites geostationary because the footprint is big.
Right.
Because they're up there.
Right.
But if you're very low, your footprint will be tiny.
Smaller, yeah.
That's why they have to deploy 40,000 satellites all over the world in order to cover it, because it's so low in the Earth orbit.
How many will it take to cover the Philippines?
They've already launched about 3,000 satellites.
Okay.
And with those 3,000 satellites, they're covering 40 countries, and that will actually include the entire Philippines.
Wow.
So with the first 3,000 satellites.
Very exciting.